Cover it, put it back. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so anyone remembers any point from last discussion?
Nobody care about you, but if there is Krishna, he is the only one who takes seriously and care about you seriously.
Okay, we did touch upon the idea that nobody really cares about us like Krishna does. We can also analyze this a little bit. Just like some days back, there was someone who wanted to go and spend some time at home, and then we found out what was the reason. It's not that because he was worried about or thinking about those who are at home, but that just he was thinking about himself. It's like, so how are we really? We can analyze in our own lives, even apparently when we think about others. Why do we do so? Are we really concerned and we have some desire to sacrifice, for others? Or it's just because it serves some of our interests? What is the reason? And you can see how we are all deeply selfish. Those others who do somehow assist us in some ways or help us or whatever, it's just some kind of mutual, almost to the point of business transaction going on. So there's no real consideration that whatever I do, I just, like sometimes it said, when you give something, you should immediately practically forget about it. You should not even think about it. That's the best type of giving. It's just like in different modes that is analyzed in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. When you do something in the mode of goodness, you absolutely have no expectation. Absolutely, you don't have any expectations. And of course, let's say in terms of charity, you give to a person who's qualified, the right time, the right place, the right cause, something like this. And then mode of passion means you want recognition. You're just doing something because you really want something out of it. And then mode of ignorance is just improper time, improper place, improper people. Everything is just inauspicious, not useful at all. It's just complete waste. So mostly it's that mode of passion kind of that we just think about ourselves. They're not selfless. So any relationship in this world, and that's a serious problem. We see that in every relationship. There is some expectation, and if expectation is not fulfilled, nobody cares. It's really they call it emotional bank account. You can withdraw to the extent that you've deposited. It's more than that. There's no resource anymore left. And that's where relationships break. But again, it's all some kind of a contract based on some kind of either verbal, either whatever, some kind of agreement, written, this, that, whatever it might be. Some kind of contract. For some time, it's not permanent. And therefore we can see how we are all more or less in that kind of position. We're selfish. We agree to different exchanges because of certain desire, because of certain interests. And when that is not there, there's no more relationship. So we don't consider others really. And then you may also say that why should I consider others? The others don't consider also anybody else. It's like, so it's just That's the mentality. But that's not spiritual mentality. That should not be. When one in spiritual life, one sacrifice, at least one can find the source, which is selfless source. And that's spiritual master, that is Krishna. So even though one cannot have an excuse that, somebody else is selfish or somebody else is having some kind of that type of business mentality. No, one doesn't have that excuse. And that's why one can surrender. Or one can keep on trying to surrender. One can keep on struggling. But at least he has some examples, some good examples. So what was the essence of last time's discussion? What was the essence of? Yes?
The Jara she cursed Narada Muni because he wanted it. So he cursed him, you won't be able to stay at one place, but it was a...
Okay, so Jara cursed Muni not to be able to stay in one place. Why? What was the essence? That's what.
It was blessing for him because...
It was blessing for him, yes, but what she thought?
He rejected her, that's why she cursed.
Yeah, he rejected. She took it for granted. Like, I approached anyone and then everybody has to respond. That's what we discussed. But that's not a fact. Why would we think that everybody has to respond whenever we have that desire? And that's where the most of disappointments arise. But we also, let's say, sometimes some friends invite you for whatever it might be there, no? Friends invite you. But let's say you're not well. You got some side disease there, something happens. And you really don't feel like going anywhere and doing anything, right? You really don't feel like, and then they feel disappointed. Oh, you're not coming. But you really don't feel, no? For whatever reason. So therefore, it can't be blamed on you that you're not participating or something. Because they want to have some fun. And they include you kind of in that. So, spiritual life, it's life of higher consciousness, it's life of considering others, which is not, I'm not saying that's easy, that's a challenge, it's a big challenge. But that's what has to happen if we want to develop spiritual consciousness, because in the spiritual world, everything is centered upon someone else. It's not self-centered. Now we are self-centered. In the spiritual world, everything is centered. What about others? Everybody, Radharani is not thinking about herself. She's thinking, what about these gopas? What about these manjaris? What about them? How will they approach Krishna? How will they serve Krishna? How will they become qualified? How this, how that? That's a devotee's mentality. So he's always considering, what is others' position? How can I help others with whatever way? But that doesn't mean, of course, if he can help or how can I serve? He might say, okay, how can I serve others? Even they're doing better and greater than me, how can I help them doing even more great and better than me? That's a devotee's mentality. But here in this material world, it's just no, self-centered. I have to be prominent, I have to be distinguished, Bhava Puja Pratishtha, no? I have to be recognized, I have to have followers. Self-centered, it's not Krishna-centered, it's not Guru-centered. That's why we have troubles dealing with others. See, that's the whole point. Because of that self-centeredness. They're not ready to help, they are just ready to exploit. So yes, Jara, she was just very self-centered and she was just considering, yes, Narada Muni is a perfect husband. At least that's what she thought. But he refused her. He refused her. And very good position for Narada Muni that was that he was in the position to refuse. So he was really not to be blamed. Let's say if he would have been a king, that would be a little more difficult. Maybe a little bit more difficult. It said that if you read Mahabharata, in so many cases, somebody would approach Arjuna or somebody would approach Bhima or this and that, I don't know, whatever, you could not refuse. They were the kings, they were Kshatriyas. And for them to refuse, that's adharma. They would have to consider someone's appeal like this. So somebody who is like Narad Muni is like a brahmachari kind of sage, traveling around. He has no obligation. He has no social obligation. He has no any other obligation except serving Krishna, being focused on Krishna. That's another, okay, I'm not going to talk about social orders, but that's a very great relief that, I'd say brahmacharis or sannyasis, they're socially dead. They're considered, that's a designation given to them that they're considered socially dead, which is good in a sense that they don't have to participate in this or participate in that. They don't have to be involved in so many social activities, which are just for whatever social purposes, let's say it like this. They don't have to get involved. They can just fully focus on serving Krishna. No obligation as such. Okay, so anything else? Anybody can recollect some important point? Yes?
You said ashram means place of purification.
Okay, ashram means place of purification. So what was that in which context?
Just thinking about the four ashrams.
Okay, but how do we come
You
to?
gave one example that Prabhu said that yes, the brahmacharis, but in the service mode.
Okay. Yeah, so ashram means whatever it is, but one still has to be, so it's not, so Prabhupada said also that, when somebody marries, he's got a license. He's got a license to have some sense gratification. But when you have a license, that doesn't mean that you can misuse the license. No, doesn't mean I have a license, now I can drive on the road. I can drive on the road. Yes, you can drive on the road, but you have to follow the laws. No, you have to follow the traffic rules. You cannot overspeed. And then when you are caught, you said, "Oh, I have a license." Well, and then they will take it. I'll say, "Not anymore. You have to follow the laws, rules, and principles." No. So marriage is also like this. There are rules and principles. You can't. There are restrictions. It's not just because you're married to someone that you can, spend time with so many others. That's misused of the license. So then it's not an ashram. And it's not an ashram. Then it's a disturbance, utpat, to the whole society. That's something that's very serious. So ashram means a place of purification. Ashram means if one decides one doesn't like to be purified by just being engaged in direct service of Krishna, then one will become purified by, in so many different indirect ways and learn, so many harder ways of purification. That's all. If one wants to be in ashram. So otherwise it's not, like Srila Prabhupada said, then it's not grihasta, then it's grihamedi, then it's not an ashram. One may be even married, but one will not follow the principles, and one will not act in a way that serves the purpose of purification. You won't get purified, you'll just get more and more contaminated and entangled. So that's a very dangerous position. Okay, so that was last verse. Narada refused, he's talking about, so she became angry, she cursed him. No. That's why you have to be careful. I know, I've heard many stories, girls or whatever, they become angry at being refused. They create a lot of trouble for that person, a lot of trouble. Very revengeful mood. I mean, it can happen the other way around. All depends. It's like, again, that's a false ego. I cannot tolerate being refused. No. How somebody dares refusing me? I'm so great and wonderful and this and that. And she or he was supposed to be mine. Now they don't agree to it. Have you all seen it? And then creating so many obstacles taking revenge. And nothing to do with spiritual life. Very, 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 it's horrible. Okay, so let's hear today what happens. Story continues. Tato vihata sankalpa kanyaka yavaneshwaram mayo adishtam asadya vavrinamna vayam ati. Translation and purport by His Divine Graces Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhu. After she was thus disappointed by me, with my permission, she approached the king of the Yavanas, whose name was Bhaya, or fear, and she accepted him as her husband. Okay. Finally, she got a husband. Let's see what happens. Purport. Being the most perfect Vaishnava, Sri Narada Muni is always willing to do good to others, even to one who curses him. Oh. Although Kalakanya, the daughter of time, was refused by Narada Muni, she was given a shelter. Of course, no one can give her shelter, but a Vaishnava gives shelter somewhere to such an unfortunate girl. When Jara or old age attacks, everyone dwindles and deteriorates. In one stroke, Narada Muni gave shelter to Kalakanya and counterattacked the ordinary karmas. If one accepts the instructions of Narada Muni, the ocean of fear, Bhaya, will be very quickly removed by the grace of the great Vaishnava. Okay. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnana Shraka Chakshurumutana Kismashigure Namo Vishnuvaraya Krishna Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravanti Pachana Shri Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Govindas. So first point is Hare Krishna. So first point is that nature of a devotee is always compassionate. What is this part of bhakti? This part of bhakti consists of developing three most essential qualities. And what are those three most essential qualities? One is determination. Determination, being extremely determined. Second one is constantly chanting the holy name. Third one is compassion, being merciful towards conditioned living beings. So this is the path every devotee has to traverse or develop those qualities, or work on those qualities, or hope for those qualities. One of the most wonderful examples is, of course, who else but Namacharya Haridas Thakur. No? He was told that if you don't stop this, he was first of all, he was always chanting, right? Was constantly chanting in the mind, loudly, silently, softly, whatever, constantly chanting. It's constantly Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare. So now you're all here, you can think for yourself. Are you constantly chanting the holy name? No matter what you're doing, maybe you're in bathroom, maybe you're this, that. Are you constantly chanting? Are you constantly exposed to the sound vibration of the holy name? And if that is not the case, what do you have to do to make that happen? So constant chanting, somehow or other, constant chanting has to happen. At least in the mind also, it can be. Why wasting every moment? If you're not constantly chanting, you're wasting time. Okay, that's one thing. Then determination. Are we sufficiently determined to practice this process? No? Our Maya will come and sway us away. Like, there are so many challenges in life that we face. Challenges are inevitable. Now, let's say if you fly somewhere, there's so many different factors that one has to encounter. That flight has to encounter. There's so many forces, so many challenges. Like the wind, the heat. I don't know, so many different kinds of things you can think of. That the plane reaches destination. Speed, this, that, whatever. I don't know. That's not the point. We can analyze for a while. What are different, even sometimes contradictory or opposing factors? So in the life, it's also like this. Don't ever think that this practice is just should go very smoothly. Or everything will, now I'm taking to bhakti. Oh yes, everything should be very easy. No, it's not going to be easy, because it's not just bhakti that it's there. This material world, there's so many other factors. There's so many other forces. There's so many other interests. So many other things are there. It's not going to be easy. Like when the stream, flows down from mountain and takes shape of a river and so forth, whatever. Is it an easy, or there are so many obstacles? No, is there any river which just goes straight down? Anywhere? Straight down and just, it's no. There's so many obstacles. There's so many, there are curves and over the stone and around the stone and here and there and mountain and so many different things. So no path is ever, no path is ever smooth. No path is ever. Why are you sitting in a little? Sit behind. Take a chair and sit behind. So similarly, in our path of bhakti, there will be so many obstacles. We are not expected that everything will be just so easy to complete this journey. There's going to be obstacles, so many different, and then some. There will be so many also. There will be so many additional artificial obstacles, not just something that you may consider natural obstacles. Like in the nature, you have these beavers. Beavers. They're not here in India. You don't get them. They get them in India. I never saw them. No, not in India. But anyway, you've heard of beavers. They make dams. Very expert. They will block the river flow and stuff like that. So there are obstacles. So now, how determined we are? Utsaha nishchaya dhairyat. So patience, determination, endeavor. So one has to become determined. One just has to develop that quality. So then, when Haridas Thakur was asked, he was said, "Okay, now you should stop this chanting. You are Muslim. Why are you chanting this Hindu, this and that? You should stop it." And he said, "No. Even if you cut my body to pieces, I will not stop chanting. Because I can't stop chanting. I have to hold my tongue, if I want to say something else, my tongue is constantly vibrating. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare." Now he said, I just can't. So that's a determination. Even if you're faced with such kind of a threat, just no, I won't stop chanting, I won't stop practicing this process. I'll just remain so resolved. I cannot chant, I cannot get up early in the morning, I cannot think about Krishna, But where is the determination? No. I have to think about this girl. That's much easier than thinking about Krishna. It's less obstacles to think about the girl than to think about Krishna. What an illusion. one didn't even see what the obstacles are. When it's so blinded by lust that one doesn't understand what it means an obstacle. So much easier to reach Krishna than anything else. And even if you reach and achieve something, you'll see then what of trouble that means. Anyway, that's a different discussion now. But determination. Not that we come across some obstacle and then and so I can't do it, I this, I that. No, one has to develop determination. Because one has to have knowledge, one has to have at least aspire to have some knowledge, to have some intelligence to understand what it means becoming involved with this material world. This material world is not a nice place. Srila Prabhupada said, this world is not a place for a gentleman. It's not a place for a gentleman. It's such a hellish place. Just today I was hearing one lecture. 2014, that means 10 years ago, by one sannyasi. And he was talking about that time, the crisis in Ukraine that it started. And he was talking about, he didn't discuss political situation. He said that's not for devotees. Devotees don't get involved. They just let things go by its own course. But he was talking that many devotees were caught in that conflict, and many devotees suffered immensely. You don't think now about suffering, you're thinking about your own sense gratification. Big difference. And he said actually that what happened came as a blessing of Krishna and made many more devotees more Krishna conscious. More Krishna conscious. Because now you're not Krishna conscious really. You take this so-called Krishna consciousness as some kind of sense gratification. Social, again, some kind of social activity or whatever, coming to a temple, offering deepa, maybe this, that, whatever it is. Who is serious about Krishna consciousness? That will be tested also. Who is serious about Krishna consciousness? So he described the suffering of devotees, whether it be on this side or devotees on that side. Everybody was suffering, but devotees were also suffering. Devotees were also suffering. So he said there was one lady, so she was thinking, first of all, there was another, they said they had to close the temple in one place because everybody fled. And one devotee was left in the building and he was told, you cannot come out. If you come out, you'll be just blown off or you'll be killed. He was forced. Can you imagine you're forced to be in, just like COVID time or something. He was forced, he just couldn't come out. And then one lady, she was thinking what to do. She wanted Mataji. So then somehow she decided, okay, let me go. Let me leave this place. And then 2 days later, she got the news from a neighbor. She said, your buildings, your flat doesn't exist anymore. All blown off. She was receptive. Somehow she saved her life. And then some people who wanted to flee and wanted to take the refuge somewhere, they couldn't because in that area was like some heavy fighting going. They couldn't pass through there. They were trapped. They couldn't do. And some other places they were not let. They were asked ransom. And there was blocked road blockage. And if you don't pay, you don't go. Just imagine. Even such a corruption or whatever, and so many things. Horrible things. And how devotees just, can you imagine yourself and just a little bit, bringing such point because you're not thinking about it. It will never happen. Are you sure? Never happen? It doesn't happen on the borders of India? Where's the guarantee that the border won't move? When the conflict starts, there are no borders. So devotees suffered. They were left without anything. And hundreds of devotees, hundreds of families, just with nothing. They said they were able to pick up their deities, maybe if they had them, some bag, this and that, and that's it. Everything else left behind. And that time the devotees were considering, now how do we shelter them? Where do we place them? How do we take care of them? So that was a serious consideration. And this is going on, last now 10 years. And who knows how much more. And it's not one place. How many places in the world some serious conflicts are going on? You can do research for yourself. It doesn't matter. It is going on. China is not far away. You might be thinking, oh, I'm enjoying my whatever this and my that. China is not far away. It's just a matter of boiling point, just like this. Any moment. Any moment. Everything is set for a conflict. Everything is set. They're just last considerations, how to do it. That's it. Everything is set. Everything is set. Today it was in news. India and China, they are coming to some agreement. There's no agreement. Agreements are going on for the last few decades. There's no agreement. Yeah. Taiwan, it's practically, it's anything may happen. Anyway, the idea is don't think this is material world. Don't think that your sense gratification will go forever. That's the point. Don't be so ignorant. Don't be so ignorant. Because if anything happens anywhere, everyone will be affected, one way or another. Now you're thinking, oh, what about my girlfriend? What about my this? What about my dad? When anything serious happens, what are you going to do then? What are you going to do then? That's why Srila Prabhupada said, where are our farms? How will you survive? You're so dependent on the store. What if stores are empty? There's no supply. What are you going to do? I said sometimes see people on the railway tracks, there's some soil, they put some salad or something, they grow things. In Mumbai, so many people, how many things you can grow, how many people can grow? Anyway, I'm just trying to bring out that little bit different consciousness, try to understand the different circumstances. Don't take this process of bhakti seriously and just think, what about, I want sense gratification. Yes, you will have sense gratification, but the more sense gratification you will have more sense deprivation. That's how it works. The more you want to enjoy, the more you will suffer. That's how it works. It's a world of duality. It's set like this. The more you want to be happy, and the less you consider how Krishna can be happy, the more you will suffer. That's how it works. That's how it works. That was Arjuna's problem. He had so many problems. Why? He never thought what would make Krishna happy. Just thought what will make me happy. And there's no end of, resolving this difficulty. As long as we have such kind of mentality. So that's what determination to practice in spite of so many obstacles has to be there. Fortified by knowledge, fortified by intelligence. One should never stop chanting and not have an excuse, I can't finish 16 rounds. That's nonsense. That's not seriousness. You can't say I'm serious in spiritual life. At least minimum that much. And then the third thing is compassion. Compassion towards living beings. We are not compassionate. We want to exploit others. When we meet someone and we want to develop relationship with someone, are we compassionate? No, we are so deeply selfish. What means compassion? Compassion means giving Krishna consciousness. That's compassion. Because nothing will resolve these problems that we face in life except Krishna consciousness. There's no way to resolve anything in this material. Because people are just performing more and more ugra karma. more and more sinful activities, terrible work, exploiting everybody and everything. So compassion. So here we see Narada Muni is extremely compassionate. Just imagine somebody curses you, and you're still a well-wisher of that person. You know, somebody's cursing you and you're still well-wishing. That's pretty remarkable and unusual. But that's Narada Muni. He's so compassionate. He sees the long-term benefit of every living being, an ultimate position of every living being as servant of Krishna, no matter how deep and entangled they might be at any point. So that's Narada Muni. We know he preached to Mrigari, preached to everyone. Why? Because he has that compassion. He has that understanding that material world, again, it's not a place for a gentleman. And that you're cursing and you're, trying to get others exploited for yourself, and you're doing this and you're doing this. None of this will make anybody happy in this world. So that's why he made the arrangement for her, said, okay, Hari, cannot marry me, but then I will help you. I'll help you marry someone else. So he made the arrangement for her. And that's what Srila Prabhupada explains here. He said, of course, no one could give her shelter. But the Vaishnava gives shelter somewhere to such an unfortunate girl. Because that's the same thing. That's the same thing like Parikshit Maharaj. Kali comes. Kali, the most abominable, the most wretched personality, practically almost going to say destroyer of Dharma. He was beating the bull, who was the Dharma personified, breaking his legs. Kali, horrible. Parikshit just drew his sword, already to just chop off his head. Yeah. No, but still he asked the bull, who did that to you? Anyway, so the bull it was so obvious, but there was some deeper philosophical consideration. But then Kali took shelter, and then king again, as we said, king cannot refuse others. Maybe you can go out for 5 minutes. Because the AC it's like that. What can we do? We'll switch off the AC afterwards. So then Kali was taking shelter, and then king didn't have an option. Then okay, he's taking shelter. But you see, Kali took shelter, but here Kalakanya didn't even take the shelter. She just cursed. So anyway, he gave Kali away. He told him, okay, you can reside. First of all, there was no place in his kingdom. And then Kali said, but where will I stay? Everything is your kingdom. As the whole planet is ruled by you. Then king said, okay, fine, let's stay where the money is. So that's another consideration. How many of you are just amassing money? It's not used for Krishna. That's what Kali is. Source of quarrel and hypocrisy. So that's where Kali is. He took shelter. So he gave him away. He didn't kill him. He didn't, relieve him from life or whatever. Because Parikshit Maharaj is one good thing. One very important thing. When things in Kali are so desperate, then there is one Kalir Doshani Derajan Asti Heku Mahatgunam Kirtana Deva Krishna Samuta Sangam. One extremely good thing. Extreme blessing. And what is that? Process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So even though Kali is so terrible, horrible, everything, inauspicious, but there's the one greatest blessing, that's the process of chanting Hare Krishna mantra. So that's why Parikshit also knew. That's why he allowed him to live. That's why he allowed him to live. So here also, Narada Muni, he sees Kalakanya. Nobody wants her, but it's a blessing. It's a blessing to make everyone more Krishna conscious. we already said when the old age starts approaching, well, some people start thinking about, it affects their consciousness in a positive way. That's a blessing. To some extent, it's a blessing. So Srila Prabhupada explains, yes, so Vaishnava gave shelter to somewhere to unfortunate girl. So when Jara or old age attacks, everyone dwindles and deteriorates. In one stroke, Narada Muni gave shelter to Kalakanya and counteracted the ordinary karmis. So, what is that counteraction? Okay, so if one accepts the instructions of Narada Muni, the ocean of fear, Bhaya, can be very quickly removed by the grace of the great Vaishnava. So, Kalakanya married fear. Time married fear. So, devotees are not fearful of time. And they're not fearful of old age. If it comes, makes us more Krishna conscious. Fine. It doesn't matter. But materialists, see how fearful they become when they become old age. Give this, give that, this operation, this process, that process. Pretending they're not growing old. So much fearful. But not the devotees. So that's why when one takes shelter of this process, he will not be affected by the time, at least in his consciousness, Krishna consciousness, and one will not be affected by fear. There won't be any fear. Because one knows, I'm not his Bala, I'm the servant of Krishna. And if I constantly chant, and I perform devotional service, Ayur Harati Vaitam Stan Udyana Astan Paya Chayana Sao Tasyatyat Kshama Nita Uttama Shlokevat. What is the loss? Sun decreases duration of everyone's life by every setting and rising, but not of the one who always discusses subjects, topics of Uttama Shloka, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not of that person. So therefore devotees are, that's a mercy. You see, that's a blessing of Sri Narada Muni. That's a blessing. That's why he is in our Guru Parampara. He is the Acharya. If we take shelter of him, we follow his instructions, then we are free from any material influence that will take us away from Krishna. So that's a mercy of a spiritual master. Okay, time is over. Any questions or comments on this? Yes.
I have one factual question related to the previous sloka. Can I ask?
Previous?
Sloka.
Shloka. Okay.
So Narada Muni was cursed by Prajapati Daksh in the 6th canto as well. Is that different from this curse?
Same curse.
So how do you explain both the curse? Like why did he get same curse?
Why did he get the same curse?
Is it like double jeopardy?
No. It can always be, different kalpa, same curse. No, it's one thing. Another, you get always the same curse. You just emphasize or fortify what you're supposed to do. Just reminds you more, or just, as we said, it wasn't a curse, it was a blessing. So it propels you more. That also could be there. Okay. Like you get double curse. What is double curse? I don't know. Something that is bad, but it just enhances you more. It's like just benefits you more actually.
Are you familiar with the concept of double jeopardy?
Double jeopardy.
Yeah.
Okay, explain it for us.
For example, if you are tried for some crime,
Okay.
and if you are acquitted of that
Let me repeat. If you're trial
in a court of law,
in a court of law,
you're tried for certain crime.
trial for certain crime,
And if you are not, if you are acquitted,
if you're acquitted,
then you cannot be tried again for that same crime.
okay, then you cannot be tried again for the same crime. Okay.
So,
But this wasn't the same crime because there were different people involved and different circumstances.
true.
It can be the same action, but different people. If you commit a murder and then you commit another murder, it's not the same thing.
Yes, but I hope you understand the
Yeah,
material
yeah.
I'm trying to draw.
Yeah, that's okay. Any other question? Okay. Anything in chat? No? We start looking at that. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Premanande. Okay, and today by Krishna's mercy, there's some special sweet. It's going to be distributed. Special Mahaprashadam. Just telling for the person who has enabled us to have it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare